Welcome to the public hearing on the Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, for the Martinsville Southern Connector Study, conducted by the Virginia Department of Transportation, also known as VDOT, in coordination with the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA. This video has been developed to provide information on the Draft EIS, including the purpose and need, alternatives evaluated, the preferred alternative, and the findings of the Draft EIS. Finally, the next steps for the study will be reviewed. As prescribed by the National Environmental Policy Act, also known as NEPA, a draft EIS has been prepared. The Martinsville Southern Connector Study is being completed in accordance with One Federal Decision, or OFD. OFD sets scheduled goals for obtaining a NEPA decision and related federal permits, necessitating the identification of the preferred alternative in the draft EIS. VDOT will advance permit applications for the preferred alternative to meet OFD requirements. The Martinsville Southern Connector Study evaluates transportation improvements on Route 220 between the North Carolina state line and the U.S. Route 58, U.S. Route 220 bypass, just south of Martinsville. The study area is large enough to encompass potential improvements, but does not imply that impacts would occur throughout the entire study area. To recap the study process to date, FHWA published a notice of intent to prepare an EIS in the Federal Register in February 2018, signaling the initiation of the NEPA process. After identifying the purpose and need, VDOT explored 11 alignment options, which were then refined to a range of 5 alternatives. VDOT held public meetings and online surveys to gather public input throughout the study process and received more than 1,500 public comments, which helped to inform the study. VDOT also conducted analysis of engineering, traffic, impacts, and cost on the alternatives and identified the preferred alternative in the draft EIS, which was issued on March 6, 2020. The purpose and need sets the goal for the study and serves as the primary criteria in the alternatives development process. The alternatives developed for the Martinsville Southern Connector Study address the following needs: accommodate regional traffic, accommodate local traffic, address geometric deficiencies and inconsistencies. 11 alignment options were initially developed and evaluated to determine whether they met the purpose and need. Based on public input and data collected, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, agreed on a range of 5 alternatives carried forward for further evaluation. Next, VDOT evaluated potential impacts for the 5 alternatives. However, 2 build alternatives were eliminated from further consideration due to estimated property impacts. VDOT retained 3 alternatives to be evaluated in detail in the draft EIS. After detailed analysis, VDOT recommended Alternative C as the preferred alternative. Following public comment in August 2019, the Corps of Engineers and EPA agreed with this recommendation, and the Commonwealth Transportation Board, CTB, approved Alternative C as the preferred alternative in January 2020. Alternative C was then documented in the draft EIS as the preferred alternative. Per CTB direction, VDOT will evaluate whether the preferred alternative can be refined to reduce property impacts while not increasing impacts to other resources. Any refinements resulting from this evaluation will be included in the final EIS. As documented in the draft EIS, VDOT collected data on existing natural resources, historic properties, private and public property, and local roadways in order to estimate impacts and costs for each alternative based on illustrative planning level designs. VDOT considered the extent to which each alternative meets the purpose and need while balancing cost and impacts. As it is VDOT's desire, as well as the expectation of the One Federal Decision process to advance a permittable project, Alternative C has been documented as the preferred alternative. In addition to having the lowest cost of the 3 alternatives, Alternative C also has the least impacts to wetlands and forests. The Corps of Engineers can only authorize the least environmentally damaging practicable alternative through its permitting process. Therefore, recommending an alternative that was more impactful than Alternative C would not result in a successful project. The segment of the preferred alternative that would reconstruct existing Route 220 near the North Carolina state line would consist of a mainline roadway with 2 highway lanes in each direction. Additionally, frontage roads are assumed to be implemented in order to maintain local access with 1 lane in each direction on either side of the mainline roadway. This view shows what the typical section of the new roadway segment of Route 220 may look like with 2 highway lanes in each direction. Following this hearing, the 45-day public comment period will continue through April 20th, 2020. VDOT and FHWA will respond to substantive comments received, refine any necessary analysis, and document these efforts in the final EIS. Over the next year, VDOT will work with the Corps of Engineers and Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, or DEQ, Virginia Marine Resources Commission, VMRC, and the EPA, along with other agencies, to include appropriate documentation in permit applications as part of the final EIS in order to have permits issued concurrently with the FHWA Record of Decision. The Record of Decision and issuance of permits will conclude the NEPA process and study phase. VDOT wants to hear from you. Your feedback is critical to the success of the study and to the region's transportation future. Written comments regarding feedback on the draft EIS will be accepted through April 20, 2020. An electronic comment form is available on the VDOT study website, or you can text Route 220 to 77948 to have the survey sent directly to your smartphone. You can also email or mail in written comments. Be sure to visit the study website, virginiadot.org/Martinsville Connector, for periodic updates and to sign up for news on the study's progress. Thank you for joining the Martinsville Southern Connector Study public hearing. We appreciate your interest and participation in this study.